You know, we're so used to checking expiration dates on pretty much everything in our pantry. Milk, bread, even canned stuff eventually goes bad. But there's one thing, just one, that basically lasts forever. I'm talking about honey. Crazy as it sounds, archaeologists have actually found jars of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that were over 3,000 years old. And the wildest part? It was still perfectly edible. There's a bit of a scientific magic trick behind it. Honey is super low in moisture and pretty acidic, and when you add a dash of naturally occurring hydrogen peroxide, you get a place where bacteria and fungi simply can't survive. It's nature's ultimate preservative. Honey isn't just a sweetener, it's like liquid gold that somehow beat time itself. But honey hasn't always been just a treat or a preservative. It actually has a bit of a dark side. In the mountains of Turkey and the Himalayas, there's a type called deli ball, or mad honey. The bees there feed on a specific kind of rhododendron flower that's toxic. Eat it, and you don't just get a sugar rush, you get hallucinations and dizziness. Back in 67 BC, King Mithridates actually turned this into a weapon. The Romans were chasing him, so he left jars of mad honey along their route. The soldiers, thinking they'd found a lucky snack, ate it and instantly got totally disoriented. Mithridates' army just doubled back and easily defeated them. Essentially, it was the first biological weapon in recorded history, hidden inside something that looked totally innocent. It definitely makes you see a jar of honey differently. We usually just scoop a teaspoon into our tea without a second thought, but for the bees, that tiny spoonful is monumental. It represents the entire life's work of 12 worker bees, just 12 little lives for one spoon. To put it in perspective, a single honeybee might fly the equivalent of 1.5 times around the Earth in its short life just to gather nectar. And to make 1 pound of honey, a colony has to visit over 2 million flowers. That's a massive, invisible, heroic effort happening in our backyards every day. And here's the kicker. Honeybees are the only insects on Earth that make food specifically for humans. Because honey can keep bacteria at bay, ancient cultures treated it more like medicine than food. Long before antibiotics, honey was the go-to for battle wounds and burns. Even in World War I, doctors used thin layers of honey to prevent infection and help skin heal faster. Today, we're seeing it again, with things like manuka honey being used in hospitals to fight superbugs resistant to regular drugs. The ancients even took it further. They used honey to preserve the dead. There's a famous story that when Alexander the Great died, his body was placed in a coffin full of honey for the long trip back to Macedonia. It kept his body from decomposing. Morbid? Yeah, a bit. But it shows how much they trusted honey's protective powers. There's a tragedy in a bee's life, though. We all know they die after stinging, but why? Their stinger has tiny barbs, and when they sting a mammal, it gets stuck. When the bee tries to fly away, it literally rips itself apart. They only do this to defend their home. They can sting other insects all day without a problem because insect shells are thin enough for the stinger to slide back out. And here's a fun old folklore. Bees can sense a guilty soul. In some villages, people used beehives to catch thieves, thinking bees would only attack someone lying. The soul part might be a myth, but the science behind it is legit. Bees are insanely sensitive to stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. So if someone's nervous because they're lying, the bees can actually pick up on it. Turns out, they're not just master chemists and architects, they're nature's original lie detectors.